Hi everybody, all my followers, welcome to another video. This video today is on a 2006 Mercedes E320 with the I think is OM642 engine, so it's the V6 engine. And I've done a video which I will leave the link in the description below, showing you where most commonly you can have an oil leak on these engines. The oil leak will reveal itself somewhere on the gearbox area, but the oil leak comes actually from the oil cooler, which is fitted in between the V on the engine, between the cylinder heads. It is a little bit of a job to get to it. So the repair itself, the parts itself, is 4 O-rings, unless you need to replace the oil cooler. But the O-rings, they cost something like £12 or something like that. But to get to it, there is a lot of labor. So on the other video, which once again I will leave the link in the description below. On the other video, I'm not taking through so much in detail. Actually, I'm just showing you where the leak is and a little bit more info. Nothing major. On here, I'm gonna try to take you through bit by bit, step by step. Now that I'm gonna get all the steps right first time, but we'll see if I still remember. I'm gonna take more into detail, a little bit more information. Nevertheless, I'm gonna try to remove the least parts as possible. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. So let's gonna start, and let's gonna go into the engine bay, which is where all the action is gonna happen, and I'm gonna show you. Okay, so I hope this angle is gonna be okay for us to do this job. I'm not planning to move the camera too many times from where it is, but okay, let's gonna start then. So the first thing we're gonna remove is the manifold, the intake, not manifold, these manifold into the turbo. So we're going to start by removing this, and that's the first time we're going to do. Is the first thing we're going to do. One thing is, I'm not going to do this how to say, not live, but I'm not going to do like be here taking parts while recording, because it's just going to make a bored video. You don't want to see me unplug stuff. So I'll just take you through what I'm going to remove, and we'll remove it. If there's any science behind to remove that or any tricks, I will obviously explain you that. So we're going to remove this first. Okay, so that's removed, and the next thing I'm going to remove is the filters, the housing filters. The reason why I'm going to remove the housing filters is because the rails, they need to come off in order for the intake manifolds to slide out. And to take them off, if I'm not mistaken, and they need to take this pipe in the middle, so you need to take these off. To take these off, I think you need to take these at the top of the injectors as well, and it will give you a little bit more room as well. So we're going to take these ones out. Okay, the next thing we're going to remove is this aluminium pipe, and I haven't doing it, but I'm going to do it from now. So to remove the filter housings, there's only 2 bolts, one here, one there, and there's one there, one there. To remove this, we have 1 bolt here, and we have one right here at the front underneath. Okay, to make things a little bit easier, you have 2 screws holding this thing here into the engine block. It might be easier to take them off. You need to take these off later because of this here. So if you take it off now, then these will move freely towards the front of the engine, and you can actually drop it down like that, completely out of the way. The next thing I'm going to do, you need to drain some water, obviously, so we're going to do that now. I'm going to unclip this pipe, possibly down there, so the water goes straight to the floor. So we drain the water in the level of the on the engine to a level where we can work water safe, basically. Well, unless it rains. There is, so it's draining the water, and we took this pipe that was from here to there ready. Okay, so my next step is going to be try to take this intake pipe here all the way down to this flexi pipe. I'm going to try to take all these in one piece. Okay, I don't know if it's possible, I can't remember. I think it is, so I'm going to start by disconnect this vacuum pipe. Okay, put that out of the way, somewhere in there. Okay, out of the way. And now I'm going to take this thing off here. We'll take this pipe out of the way as well. Okay, to remove this expansion tank, you have one bolt here, you have one here at the back and one right underneath, and then you just pop it out. Another thing that I haven't mentioned yet, and I need to mention that now, is cover or block any pipes. Don't leave anything open. You might drop something inside of them, and well, you can figure out the damage you might do if you start the engine with something inside of these pipes. So block everything as you leave them like that. Block everything. If it's something that you know you're not going to drop nothing there, or there's not so much risk, but something like that, make sure you block them. I'm just using a paper towel, that's it. Okay, next step, the EGR pipe. So you have 3 bolts right underneath here, holding it to this one. So as soon as you take the 3 bolts, just pull it out that way. There's only a fitted in there, and you pull it, then you pull it, drag it this way, turn it around, and it comes off. Okay, so to remove this, you have 4 bolts here, 1, 2, 3, and then you have this one here that holds this bracket here. Then you have this bracket here. Let me take this out. I don't know if you can see this bracket here, and you have 2 bolts that holds it to the engine block. You have a few plugs around. You have this one, you have this one, and you have, what else you have? You have this one, and you have a little one right at the back, and that's it. As soon as you take this off, you have just shake it to release, and as you can see, it's gonna slide right out. There is one thing, guys, that I think is worth to mention. If I had a workshop, I would do things slightly different, but I don't. So in order for you, especially on these Mercedes, and there's other cars, but you have like bolts, different lengths, and then you can get mistaken, and then if you put a long bolt in a place where it should be a short one, you can damage it, you can snap it. So to make sure you get it right, what I usually do is the following, as you can see here. So I put everything like that, and I just put the screws roughly back where they should be, right there at the back. You see all the bolts kind of in place, and like that. So when there's nothing to put the bolts on, I just put it like that. So that's what I do, to make sure I don't get anything in the wrong place when you put it back. It's just a technique. You might use something different. If I would have a proper workshop, I would do it differently, but in a slightly different way, but I don't, so that's how I do it. So the next thing, so that's out now, as you can see. The next thing I'm going to start to remove is the turbo. Okay, so that's the next thing. Okay, just to take out of the way, to take this pipe off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the breather off. There's only 2 bolts. I know I said at the start of the video I would be doing it, try to take as least parts as possible, but sometimes to make your job easier, you might just want to take, sometimes it works for the sake of 2 bolts, take them something off, and it's not going to be on the way. You know you're not going to damage it during the process of doing the rest of the job. So it's only 2 bolts, it's not that bad. My bad. It's actually, there is actually 3 bolts. That's it. And once again, we're going to make sure we block that hole in there. And okay, so the next thing we're going to remove the turbo is the heatsink, or the cover, whatever you want to call it. There is, I think, 1, 2, 3 bolts if I'm not mistaken, and that will come off. It's going to take me ages to do it like this. I mean, recording, then pause, then gloves in, gloves out. Okay. Okay, next we're going to remove that bracket. There's a bracket to the back. These brackets, I'm going to take these off. There's 2 bolts holding it down. Obviously, in the meanwhile, there's a few plugs. I don't need to take you through the plugs. You'll figure out what you need to unplug. Okay, to remove the turbo, we're going to remove this bolt for the bracket. We're going to remove these 2 bolts here, and then I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Oh, there's 2 bolts right there, 1 on each side. That one in there, that hex right at the bottom, and there's another one on this side, and that's it. Once you take these out, the turbo should slide right out. Okay. Okay, anyone watching this carefully will be thinking, what the hell is talking about? Right, so here rather than 2 is actually 3. There's 1 bolt right at the bottom in there. But obviously, silly, we need to remove these bolts. You can't see them really. These bolts right at the back holding the exhaust manifolds into the turbo. So I think the best way is going to be, if I recall correctly, is going to be take these bolts here. There's 1 underneath, and take this angle here, and then that will give us access to the 3 bolts underneath holding the turbo to the exhaust manifolds. Okay, so now that we remove the elbow, we have 2 options here, I think. Or we remove this bolt and 2 underneath, or we remove these. We're gonna have to take these here as well anyway, or we remove these 3 here and these 3 on the other one. There is a bracket underneath. I'm not sure. I think it holds to the turbo as well by the sounds of it, and I'm sure it does. Yeah, there is one in there. Yeah, no, it's not gonna work. There is a bracket underneath. There's a bolt that goes from here that way, so I think the best way is going to be take these off and take these 6 bolts out. Okay, the turbo is now out, and the next thing we're going to take is this oil feed and return and sort of support. There's 4 bolts, 2 in there, 2 at the back, and this block comes out. Okay, so the next thing we're going to take off is the fuel filter. There's a few bolts up here. I think it's 3 bolts for it. Then we're going to take the returns off the injectors, so we can move all these out of the way. There's a few brackets, a few bolts holding the little brackets and stuff like that. Surely you can figure out that yourself, how to take them off. And that's the next step. So we're going to take the returns and all these little bits and bobs around here and move everything out of the way. I remember now why I said that the rail needs to come out. I believe there's only one rail that needs to come off. The reason is, take this pipe, I've loosed the nuts already, but you have no room to take this pipe off. I've tried to push it out, it just doesn't come out, and I'm afraid to just force too much, it just kink the pipe, and then, so easy enough, just take one rail out. The rail I'm going to take out probably is going to be the one on this side, maybe, because this one, it doesn't really matter, so I might take this one out. Yeah, but first am I going to take this cable tray here and move it out of the way and take this real flaps motor, and yeah, that's going to be the next step. Take these off and take the motor for this real flaps. Okay, where was I yesterday? So yeah, I think the last thing I said yesterday was I would be removing some of the cable trays, which I did already, and the real flaps actuator down here. I've removed so far only this rail. I left this last pipe, you don't need to take it off, at least from the injector side. You just take these two and then you twist the rail and it comes out of this one, and then you pop it out. The cables are all here on the side. We unplug all the glow plugs on the side, and the loom is right here on the side, so it's out of the way. Hopefully we do not need to remove, I think we need to remove this common rail as well, because of here, as it comes out, you need to take these out, otherwise it won't slide out. But to take this one off, I think we can leave all the pipes in place. We just need to move this and pull it out, which I might do next. So we'll take this rail out. We're also going to need to move these pipes here. As you can see, they come over the manifold. We're going to have to remove all this. There's some flexi pipes here, so we'll take the bracket here, and all these should move backwards a little bit. So that's the next. So take this rail out and take these stainless steel fuel pipes out of the way as well. Okay, before I move on, I had to remove the other rail. I haven't touched the pipes on the injector side. All you need to do is take this bolt here, release this, to take this lead pipe here, then you pull it this way and you take this rubber pipe for the return. Take all the nuts here, and then you turn the rail like this, and you take the last one out, and that's how it comes out. So we don't need to take the pipes over there, less work for us. We still need to move this a little bit out of the way somehow, because otherwise this comes out in there, in between. Okay, we'll force, oh, there we go. Take this return, and there you go. That's it. And we managed to free that area. Catch the deal. And that's it, guys. So we now have this area free to take the intake manifolds. I think I'm not gonna touch this real flaps thing. I'm just gonna take the manifold bolts, and I think all this comes off in one piece. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I don't need to take the manifold, the real flaps actuator or anything else now. All I need to do now is take the bolts for the actually manifolds. There is a few bolts around. There is a few bolts that needs to come out, and these will come off. So let's gonna take those bolts, and when I'm ready to remove the manifold, we'll come back. Okay, two things to add. One is one of these. This is the thermostat. One of the bolts of the thermostat, this one there, it holds the manifold in place as well, so it needs to come out. Another thing is, don't forget to disconnect this pipe here at the back. Okay, you have two options for this. You take it off in there, there's a clip that you need to remove and you pull it out, or you take the EGR and you take the pipe underneath the EGR. I found it easier to take it over there, so I took it over there. And I believe now, if I'm not mistaken, the manifold should be ready to come out. See? I forgot one. They're all loose, but I forgot to take this one out. Let's see if it comes out now. Yeah, it's going to come out now. Hold it. Oh. And there he is, and we got to the bottom of the problem. As you can see, that's our oil cooler. As you can see, all the oil right there at the back. So it's obvious just by looking at this that that's where the oil is coming from. The cooler is holded by, I think is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10 bolts all the way around, and then the seals are underneath. So now we're going to give it a clean before we take the cooler. We don't want oil to get mixed in the water when we take the cooler, so we're going to give it a quick clean and then remove the cooler. So we gave it a clean, and all the bolts are now all undone on the cooler, and we're going to remove the cooler. Get ready with some towel, with some paper to clean straight away, because it's going to be all underneath and you don't want that to get mixed really on the water, and just give it a quick clean straight away. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so the cooler is out. We gave it a good clean. I'm going to clean it a little bit further, but we gave it a clean already. The next step is going to be with a really fine sandpaper. Just sandpaper these areas here, the 4 of them. They have a little bit of dirt and a little bit of like corrosion sort of. So we're going to clean all these areas around, but this is pretty much cleaned. Then we're going to clean the cooler. These are the seals. When you buy these seals, you don't want these anymore. These are the old ones. The new ones, they are purple, and that's the ones you want. This is the old version. The new version, the seals are purple. That's the ones you want. So this is the old ones, obviously. That's what it is. So I don't have the new ones yet. I'm gonna have to fetch them this afternoon. But yeah, that's where we are. Okay, so everything has been cleaned, including the cooler. The new seals are right in place. As I said, the new ones, they should be purple. I have a list here with some of the torques. I will take you through this as I put it back on. So the first thing we're going to put back is the oil cooler. By the way, cooler 12 Newton meters. You have 10 bolts, 12 Newton meters. Right guys, what I'm going to do, rather than be here taking you through the assembly is obviously the inverse of the taking off, so no rocket science. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a list in the description below of all the torques, and obviously you can take the torques from the list, and I'm just going to put everything back together, because otherwise it's going to take way too long if I carry on doing it like this. So that's what I'm going to do next, and we'll come back when everything is in place. Okay, on the assembling there's a few things I'm going to pick up, just to let you know. Important is to clean very well this surface here alongside with this one. Also, obviously this one here and this one here, those are the old seals. We're going to replace those seals. I really do advise you to do so. They cost about £5 each. So we have brand new gaskets here, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to replace this, and just highlight the fact that you should clean that quite well. It's normal for some corrosion to build up, and even if you put new seals, it's always advised to clean that very well. So that's clean now, and we're going to carry on with the assembly. Okay, so all done, all completed. The only thing left is the cover, but we're going to attempt to start the engine first. Okay, and we're going to attempt to start the engine. So as I said, everything is done. It's just the cover left. I left the cover just to do a quick inspection. Now that you can see a lot on this engine, but we checked and double checked. As you put everything back together, you just double check that you didn't miss any bolt, and top it up with water already, so it's at the level. Oil is at the level, and we're going to turn the ignition, cycle the ignition a couple times to let the fuel pump to pump oil all the way back in there. So we're going to turn it off again, turn it on. I can definitely hear the pump going. Let's do it one more time. And okay, one more time, and we'll start the engine next. Okay, let's try again. Let's try once more. Come on, babe. Okay, and it's running. I've stopped recording. I had to do about 7-8 times until I actually went. So there it is, running fine. It looks good. Just going to do a quick inspection if everything reveals okay. That's it. What we're going to do now is to kind of get water where it should be. We're going to put the temperature to the maximum. Okay, coming through the vents. Okay, so mode, that's it. So in there, and we're gonna put maximum temperature, and we're gonna let the engine run. Hopefully that will make the water to circulate inside, and we're just gonna keep a level on the water, top it up if it needs, and that's it, guys. I don't think at this point, I mean, I'm going to inspect, see if there's any leaks, that I can see anything that can be, you know, but this is what it is. Job done. As I said, I'm going to leave all the torques, the main torques, in the link in the description below, so if you want to have a look. And that's it for changing the oil cooler seals on this engine. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope there's useful information that you can use, and like any comments, questions, guys, put them below. And like always, thank you for watching.